Yes, I'm John Razimus. Here is Livestream 2 on January 25th, 2022. I said I'd have my laptop. I was going to do it outside, but it's getting too cold. It's getting too cold. So let me open up the comments so I can see if there are any comments. Got it? So now if you say something in the chat, I will be able to read it. What are we going to be talking about? All right, the Matrix. In the future, I am going to do a video, just my thoughts on the Matrix. There is someone in the Matrix sub of Reddit saying, if we are in the Matrix, and then they have a paragraph of them rationalizing reasons why we might be in the Matrix. I picked up this Agent Smith action figure. It was only 20 bucks. Thought it was kind of cool because there's code. It's so dark up here. It's so dark up here in the loft that I got one of these light lamps. Jeez Louise. Here's an Agent Smith action figure I got. I thought it was pretty cool because there's code. It's an old figure, but it's new to me. So dark up here, I had to get this lantern. It is that dark up here in the loft, just bad lighting. I need to have a better lamp situation going on. I have this vintage lamp, but it puts out nothing. And when you turn it off, you know, it's all silver, and that's why it puts out nothing. It's just a decorative, energy wasting lamp, but I like it. Okay. If you have any questions, I will see your comments. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us. What are we going to talk about? You know, just paranormal stuff. MGIC, Mysterialis Ghost Investigation Crew. You know, the winners, I'm going to mail you an official letterhead. Your official MGIC crew members. And if you want to be an official member, just participate in the channel. Brandon, I see, is here. Karmic Eye is here. Colin is here. You know, thanks for joining us. There's no stringent guidelines to be MGIC member. Just try your best. Like I was saying in the last video, Freethinker Silver, he made 2 videos of his own accord. He wanted to try to capture some evidence, and he sent it to me. He said, you can use it. I said, wow, thank you. So I sent him a t-shirt because he's an official MGIC member. I'm making new t-shirts, yada, yada, yada. I like couch potato. I don't know why, but occasionally I'll search for couch potato stuff from the 80s. Couch potato in the 80s. It was kind of like an 80s meme, if you will, pre-meme. Couch potato. It was sort of a meme that a company took over when there was official couch potato stuff, and then there was unofficial couch potato stuff. And because it was kind of a meme, anyone could grab it, and there's different couch potato brands. It's just an obscure thing. I thought it was pretty funny. But, oh, there's a question from my last video. Have you experienced any poltergeist activity lately? No, nothing comes to mind. Nothing anytime recently. I can tell you about future videos I'm planning on doing. I have stuff for. As far as poltergeist activity, I'm trying to think. You know, maybe I heard a knock, an unusual knock, maybe 3 months ago, but nothing really comes to mind. We're talking last year. I did hear my doorknob turn on its own, maybe 2 or 3 times, spaced out by a couple weeks. A couple times. It sounded like someone was literally at the door turning it. Now, I'm not making this up. This was me kind of getting freaked out that I thought there might be someone in my house, and there wasn't. But it's the first time I've ever experienced doorknob turning. It's a cliche thing you see in horror movies. This was like a year ago now, maybe 6, 7, 8 months ago now. But it wasn't full-blown turning as much as it was the knob itself shaking. And yeah, I guess it could have been an earthquake. I try to look for the rational explanation behind anything. Could have been an earthquake 2 or 3 different times. Theoretically possible, I guess, but it was strange to hear what sounded like, kind of sounded like someone touched the knob and gave up, and then tried to touch it again and gave up because it was too tough to turn. Something you would, I don't know, a smart animal trying to turn it would give up, not knowing how the human doorknob works. But we don't have any animals like that other than a Chihuahua. We have a Chihuahua. She's this big, and she can't, even on her feet, get even close to the doorknob. She doesn't walk around on her feet. But if she could, she would have been easily, 3 feet away from the doorknob. So that was pretty unusual. That was a long time ago. Nothing as of late. I ordered a long time ago. We're talking 2020. I entered into a Kickstarter. I will talk about paranormal stuff. If you have any paranormal questions, mint cucumber Gatorade? No, it's not the disgusting mint cucumber. It's my favorite flavor. It's Arctic Blitz. So if anyone wants to know my favorite Gatorade flavor, I recommend Arctic Blitz. That's my favorite. I think it's pretty good. I haven't opened these colognes. I ordered these colognes in 2020. In 2020, about 2 years ago. Haven't opened them because it was, kind of a collector's item, gimmicky thing. I don't know if you heard about it. Eau de Space and Eau de Luna. I don't know if that's how I even pronounce eau, but these are 2 colognes that are purportedly designed to smell like space and smell like the moon. And I've already read the reviews, people saying it smells disgusting. So, that's one of the reasons I didn't open it yet. But I will do a review. I'll open it brand new and do a review. I don't do cologne reviews, but I thought it was funny. I started collecting bottles, and I picked up this cologne bottle because I thought it was cool. It's starting to turn purple, and the guy that sold it to me said he dug it out of the ground, and he said it's from the 1800s. I have to take his word for it, but I think he's telling the truth. This particular cologne is, there's a viewer of this channel that mentioned this cologne. I just like the bottle. The mythology of trapping spirits in bottles. I do not believe in trapping spirits in bottles. I don't believe it's possible. I'm familiar with the Chinese ancient belief that it is possible, and independent from China, the more popularized belief comes from Haiti, and maybe even Jamaica, and maybe Africa, that you can trap spirits in bottles. Most definitely in voodoo of Haiti. There are many Haitian voodoo practitioner believers, followers that think you can trap, and they have some bottles scattered in their altar, which sometimes is in the corner of their room. I wouldn't recommend, even if you could trap a spirit in a bottle, I would not recommend doing it. But obviously, the belief of that goes ancient into thousands of years, the genie in the bottle concept. So even, in the Middle East, ancient Middle East beliefs system, obviously the genie in the bottle is something that goes back beyond those 2 cultures, or perhaps simultaneously at the same time. Those 2 cultures in China, Africa, maybe they heard about the genie in the bottle mythology from the Middle East. But so I hope there's not a spirit in here. I just got this online, I got it for a couple bucks. It was a pretty good deal. Mint condition, no chips or cracks. It's Rue de la Cloche, number 4711, a cologne. So 4711 is one of the oldest colognes in the world. And a viewer of mine actually was emailing me about it, and I have to be blunt and honest. The emails they spiraled out of hand to the point where I didn't want to get emails from this particular individual anymore. I'm sure they're a good person. I'm sure they're a nice person. They just happen to email me too much, too sporadically, and we're trying to get a little bit too personal. And I was like, thanks for the feedback. I like your 4711 story. So thank you for bringing that to the channel. That's something I wanted to investigate and research. He asked me, is 4711 a scent that you've ever heard of having anything to do with the occult or occult practices? He says, I know you've read a couple of occult books, you've researched occult things. Have you ever heard of that? And I told him I've heard of stories of spirits bringing roses if they're positive spirits, or foul smelling things if they're negative spirits. And I've heard of a temple where you burn incense, and certain spirits like a particular incense smell, and they don't like another incense smell. But I told him, as far as 4711 and occult, I didn't know anything about it. I told him, I don't know. I don't know the answer to anything, to everything. But 4711. So I was so intrigued. I've probably smelled 4711. It's a generic lemon scent, but I've never reviewed it, and I've never smelled it that I know of offhand. I've never purchased it until now. I bought an entire box of 4711. I got this on Amazon. It's not an advertisement. I don't get a penny. If you also get it on Amazon, no big deal. But this giant size of 4711 was cheaper than the small size. The small size was $30, and the giant size was $25. So I got the giant size, not knowing if it was a typo or what's going on. But I was going to pour it into the original bottle. I was going to get a little cork and bring this 1800s 4711 bottle back to life with original 4711. Now, I did watch a video streaming about 4711. This guy in the emails, he said, oh, did you see this documentary? It mentions the occult in 4711. So probably after I said I don't know anything about it, I can't say as I do know much related to it. I don't know if I even smelled it, let alone heard stories about it. And so I tried to find that video, and I did. I found it. It's like a movie. It's like a low-budget documentary or something. And he was like $9.99, and I couldn't afford to stream it for $9.99. But perhaps in the future I'll check out that documentary, which probably within 10 seconds blurbs about the occult for 10 seconds, and then the rest of it's just the history of 4711. They just talked about the occult for probably, if I had to guess, 1 minute. I don't know. And I didn't think 1 minute of information was worth $9.99. But I did watch a couple of videos on YouTube, couldn't find anything occult related. So his question, he's like, he has it, and he wondered if it attracts spirits. And I told him, hey, just try to be positive and have a clean house, physically clean, and you gotta have it spiritually clean. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to post them. I will read them. But I will do not only a review of, in the future, I know this isn't a cologne channel, but I happen to buy these. Eau de Luna, I'll do a review of that. Eau de Space, I will do a review of that. And Eau de 4711. In the documentary I did watch, that's free. There is a free streaming documentary. It said it's called 4711 because some type of government crackdown on houses, and they assigned numbers to houses in Germany. I think it was Germany, I'm not an expert at this subject at all. But this cologne was really prominent in Germany. So I think it came out of Germany. It's one of the oldest colognes in the world. Napoleon supposedly wore this. That's how old this stuff is. Napoleon wore it, In World War II, they gave it out to the troops in Germany, and they saved it and gave it to their girlfriends. But one downside, supposedly, according to these videos I've watched, I've never even smelled it, never opened it. But I'll do a review of it. So it'll be a fresh review of me, for the first time smelling it. Apparently it only lasts for a few seconds. Like you put it on, it'll last for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Then it's gone, evaporated, because there's so much alcohol in it. But I thought it was a cool bottle. I collected a couple other cool bottles lately. Am I working on any hoax hunter content? Colin asks. Hoax hunter content. You know, every now and then I see something that's so obvious. I want to do a hoax hunter video about it, but then I think, it busts itself. So it has to be really good for me to want to do a hoax hunter on it. It has to have a cult following for me to want to do a hoax hunter video on it. Hoax hunter had a purpose and a reason. Its purpose and reason was to stop people from worshiping these false gods that are claiming they're time travelers, false gods claiming they're ambassadors of aliens, false gods claiming, a UFO landed in their backyard and the aliens offered them a cyborg arm, and they're like, nah, I'm good, I don't need the cyborg arm, but I'll take money from these slave humans that are following me. The slave humans, I'll take all that money, heck yeah, let it roll on in. Cyborg arm from another planet, extraterrestrials want to give me some super cyborg arm technology? No thanks, I'm good. Money from people that can barely afford it? Heck yeah. And when I see something like that, I make a hoax hunter video about it. But if you have any ideas, if you have any scenarios where you see that taking place, other than just generic religion, I mean, I never wanted to be a religious channel. I always followed Art Bell's rule. Even Art Bell didn't follow his own rules sometimes, and even I don't follow the rules sometimes. But I try my best to follow the rule of no politics, no sports, and no religion. In the context of, it's not going to be a pro or negative bashing religions. It's not going to be pro or negative bashing sports teams. It's not going to be pro or negative bashing politics. Because then the entire channel morphs into that. I'm as anti-political as you can possibly get, at the same time not caring about politics as much as you can not care. So I guess someone that really was anti-politics would have an anti-politics channel, but I don't care. So I'm never going to have any political related channel. Sports, I'll show more sports cards from time to time. Let me just show you some sports cards. See, I break my own rules sometimes. Okay, we got blank card with nothing on it. So that's a nice one. We got empty. Okay, let me get to the real cards. Okay, we got William Perry. We got William Perry here. It's a new William Perry card that just came out. Very common. 48 of 49. Very common. William Perry card. You can probably barely see these. I know it's really dark in here. We got William Perry. Again, a different William Perry card. Nice. Okay, what is it? 4 of 25. William Perry, 4 of 25. I'm going to have to turn my lantern on so you can see what's going on. It's so dark in here. We got William Perry. You guessed it. William Perry, 25 of 30. I got to put the light lamp where you can actually benefit from it. Got William Perry. Look at that. Look at that holographic lenticular action going on. It's just pretty cool. So we got 3 William Perrys there. What have we got here? Oh, wow. Got William Perry. 5 of 35. We got some different action going on. Different action. See, I got to get cases for these. We have 7 of 20, William Perry. Wow. Can you guess who's going to be in the next lineup of my card selection? All right. Yes, I will answer your questions. Are you still working on Corners of Rooms? Most definitely. I'm still working on Corners of Rooms, both video-related content and the book. You're talking about the book. Whew, I have a new job where I don't have any weekends. As you can see, I'm off today. What is it, Tuesday? And so I got to work Saturday, Sunday. I got to work Friday, almost every single Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But that's no excuse. I could be writing more of Corners of Rooms right now. But let's, 2 more cards. We just got 2 more. 2 more to go. 3 of 10, William Perry. Oh yeah, nice. Okay. 7 of 25, William Perry. Pretty cool. Okay. Can anyone guess what the next card is going to be? Can anyone guess what the next card's going to be? Just take a guess. Just take a stab in the dark. Magic Johnson, The Gathering. Is that your guess? Is Magic Johnson your guess? Come on, someone make a guess. What's the next card going to be? I'm not going to focus on sports. Just one more card, and then I'll talk about corners of rooms, and I'll talk about other stuff. Charles Barkley? Nope. The next card, here it is. It's Joe Exotic. I don't know why I got this, okay? I don't know why I got a Joe Exotic card. 6 of 7. We're talking cracked ice, black border. Joe Exotic with the tiger right there, Tiger King. Why did I get it? All right. I got the Tiger King card, okay? Because I do delve into the non-sports card arena of the most worthless cards you could possibly imagine. It just rang true as just why. Other than I had to picture Joe Exotic in prison signing these because they gave him this sheet of plastic stickers, and then the person working for Leaf Cards sticks it on there because they can't send him the card. He could make a shank out of the card, you know, and shank someone. But no, seriously, I don't know. It's limited time only. This card market is a rough, tough market. You'll see a Joe Exotic card, you'll be like, I don't know if I want it. And then the next year, it's $1,000. You're like, I could have got that for $10. So there's just one of those, if you don't get it when someone opens up 50,000 boxes and then throws it up for $10, if you don't get it when it's brand new, and people are going through a bunch of them, like Willy Wonka chocolate bars, and they're just throwing, they're like, I don't want this one. That's a bad example because chocolate bars don't have cards in them. But you know what I mean. They're just opening up tons of cards. This is what happens every year. 2020 cards, boxes. Some guy will get 50,000 boxes. He'll open all of them looking for the golden ticket card, and he gets this, and he thinks it's no good, throws it up for $10. 1 year later, there's a $1,000 card. So that's why I snagged it. It is an investment. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Corners of rooms. I think I have the original Corners of Rooms right here on my shelf. Let me just take some cards off of it. There's some basketball cards on it. What is on it? What is on my Corners of Rooms? We have a signed Clockwork Orange DVD steelbook signed by Malcolm McDowell himself. On top of my Corners of Rooms manuscript. We have a ticket from a Cranberries show I went to. I saw the Cranberries in 1999 at, what's it called? The Joint in Las Vegas. Is that what it's called? The Hard Rock Cafe has the Joint, and it's been decommissioned. They ripped it the whole down. They ripped the whole thing down. Place doesn't even exist anymore. But I kept my Cranberries, it's not autographed, but I bought this CD, which is autographed. Because rest in peace, you know, the lead singer of Cranberries passed away. Lead singer of the Cranberries. You know, her and her family specifically were very Catholic, very religious. I'm not Catholic, but I can appreciate that, you know, they feel really bad about it. But they believe in heaven, you know. So the mom was particularly distraught that the daughter died under unusual circumstances. But after they investigated, she didn't die from drugs. She died from passing out in the bathtub and drinking too much wine. And if she had something in her system, it wasn't the pill bottle next to her bed. She didn't ingest that. That's what the autopsy said. So it wasn't suicide. It was an accident. She died accidentally. passing out in a hotel bathtub, taking a bath, just passing out. That's really sad, super sad. Rest in peace, sad situation. But from a Catholic perspective, I'm sure the family was happy, a little bit relieved, because they believe in limbo. They believe in this, if you commit suicide, you go to, what is it? Come on, you Catholic experts out there, what's it called? Not called limbo, what's it called? It's called, come on. What's that place between heaven and hell? Purgatory. Yes, some old school Catholics, especially ones in Ireland, I'm sure believe in purgatory. They didn't want her to go to purgatory, you know? So sad story, sad story. These cards happen to be stacked on top. Yeah, rest in peace, Dolores. On top of my manuscript. These are just illusions. As you can see, they're nice and shiny. I was trying to get a Magic Johnson and I didn't get it. Didn't get a Magic. So the illusions set, yeah, it looks cool if you get a good one. What else do I have stacked on top of my Corners of Rooms manuscript? I have this. This is a bead box with a bunch of different beads. Every single one of these beads I bought individually online in the year 2019 and 2020. And I'm gonna I'm gonna just make a hat band for my hat. You know, my black hat, my Billy the Kid hat. I'm gonna make a hat band. And I have right here some, this is synthetic sinew. It's synthetic sinew. The Native Americans, they use real sinew, but they also use synthetic. You know, synthetic's gonna last longer, you know. It's just what they use to string beads. So I'm gonna string the hat band with this synthetic black sinew. I have some pretty cool beads in here. I have an abalone shell bead, just some really cool beads in here. So hopefully it comes out. You know, I can make a video on just making the hat band. What else is on top? Okay, we're pretty much there, I think. Let's see. All right. Ooh. This is my top secret book I've been writing since the year 2001. 2001? No. 2003? 2003. Yeah, 2003. It's my top secret book I've been writing since 2003. It's pretty thick, pretty thick. It's not going to get published anytime soon, all right? And here is the artwork for that top secret book. Wow, that's a lot of work right there. Okay, here are some drawings on top of the Corners of Rooms manuscript. With, for some reason on the back, we have a animated cell from the cartoon Wing Commander. I don't think I ever saw that cartoon, Wing Commander. Here's a cat alien person from the Wing Commander cartoon. Never saw it. I just thought it was the usual thing to pick up, you know. I'm a big fan of medieval art. So here is some medieval art that I copied it and I changed it and I added stuff to it. But I love how medieval art is two-dimensional, yet fun, colorful. Obviously this isn't colored, but this is from an original piece that I traced, and then I popped some extra stuff on there. So some type of instrument of a bird. Like there's like a bird bagpipe. Like what the heck did that sound like? That's weird. Probably like an ancient bagpipe. It was just a bird with maybe pipes popping out of it. I don't know. But we have there what looks like an early violin. I drew this many years ago. And I think I'm going to turn it into a t-shirt for Mysterialis. I think it'd make a good t-shirt. You have a robot shaking the hand of a six-fingered individual whose hand is popping out of a time tunnel, We have a vortex, we have a wormhole from another universe, another dimension, or whatever the case. And the robot, okay, what year is it? What year? It's the year 6 kabillion trillion zillion AD. So that's, some human who's evolved with 6 fingers trying to meet whoever's around in the future, and it's just robots. Okay. But after that, we have my Corners of Rooms manuscript. Here it is. Has Mysterialis on the back, the old Mysterialis logo. Okay. Has this Corners of Rooms drawing I did. But I am going to write, all right? I am going to write. I did this drawing of a snake and a gate. I was going to use it as like a publishing logo, but I'll probably use something else. Let's see here. Here's a drawing I did. It's based on a medieval woodcut, but only loosely. You might have seen like a little tiny dwarf and a wizard. I changed the whole thing. It's totally different. It's not even the same picture. But it has a magic square in the corner. Here's the demon in this triangle, and the wizard in the circle. Yeah, I've never practiced that stuff. I just thought it was a neat imagery. Okay, here's the original. Here's the original pen and pencil drawing of that Serpent Gate. I threw on the scales after the fact. Whenever there's something like scales going on, I'll draw the basic thing and make a copy and put the scales on the copy just in case I make a mistake on the scales. If you make a scaled mistake, you just print it off again and then start over. That way you don't mess up the original. Okay. We have this imp demon pulling on the imp demon pulling on my green screen. And as you can see, my green screen, I drew this entire picture just as a representation of what I saw. Now, I didn't see the being, all right? All I saw was my green screen, which was hanging over about this much. It was probably hanging over about this much, but for illustrative reasons, in the picture I made it this much. It was probably hanging over this much. It was like I don't know how many feet tall that green screen was. It was like, what was it, 10 feet tall? I didn't read the dimensions when I ordered it. And when I got it, it was like bed sheets that were like 10 feet tall. And it hung over, I stuck it as high as I could, and it still hung over a couple feet. And I've told this story many times, but here is, just me thinking about the story enough to draw a picture of it. This is just a little imp demon looking thing, and it's just a cartoonish looking thing. But I actually saw impressions of feet pushed down on the bottom, and I imagine the being was holding on to it as well. We have the 2 tacks that flew out. These 2 tacks flew. Not in a supernatural manner when it comes to their trajectory or anything. They flew in the same way they would fly if I jumped up and down on this little leverage area. If I jumped up and down as many times as being jumped up and down, the same thing would have happened. They flew like 4 feet, 5 feet, whatever, maybe 3 feet, whatever the case. They kind of flew down, I guess it was more than 3 feet. They flew, I think one of them fell on my bed, the other one fell on the floor. But they flew almost in the, not to the other side of the room, but they flew with an amount of speed where if I was standing there and hit me in the head, it wouldn't have been nice, But it happened 2 times, and here's just a drawing of that incident. I was going to draw every single significant incident. Okay, I can tell you this story. I've never told this story before. I've never told it. Here's a freaky, creepy story. It's freaky to me, and creepy to me when I think about it. See, I'm a huge fan of the Ultima Series, the Ultima games. It's hard to really illustrate that. I wish I could grab my Serpent Isle copy over there, but I can't because I have my plug. You know, I guess I have enough battery. Let me go grab just to illustrate this story, and I'll look at your questions and I'll answer your questions before I show you this next drawing. I'm going to unplug my phone. I think it has enough juice. And I'll be right back. I'm not leaving the location. I just need to get one of my games. It's on the shelf behind my phone. I'll be right back. Okay, let's see here. Where is it? Serpent Isle. I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. It's inevitable, bound to happen, destined, if you will, destined to happen, bound to happen. Don't worry about it. Whew, are we still live? Someone post something. Okay. Lots of times, there, I imagine that was probably influenced by the morality of the time. Yikes, I mean, yeah. Okay, orientation locked. Okay. Are we back? Is it working? Sorry that had to happen. Upside down. Are we upside down right now? Yikes. Are we still upside down? Please let me know. My phone shows it not upside down. Is all good? All right, thank you. So before showing you this drawing, I wanted to show context, because I can see in a theoretical scenario, I can see angels in heaven with their book going, according to our records, okay, this is why the demon showed up, because you did this, okay. Well, if angels are paying attention, I'm a huge fan of video games, all right? They're fictional things where you pretend to be an avatar and walk around. Actually, the term avatar, you're probably very familiar with it. The term avatar was invented by the guy who made these games because the hero of these games is named the Avatar. Before the Ultima Series existed, the Avatar was never used in the context of a video game default character or whatever the case. Ever. Never. The creator, Richard Garriott, got the term Avatar from India. In India, avatar means God person. Something to that effect. That's a loose translation. But an ascended being, a godlike person, someone with godlike abilities, powers. In India, that is an avatar. And Garriott is a researcher of many countries, travels the world. He's been to the North Pole, the South Pole, to the Titanic. He's been in outer space. He was in the International Space Station for a couple weeks. He's all over the place, all right? And he liked the word avatar. It fit his video game, so he made the hero of his video game, the Avatar. Now, here is Ultima 7 Part 2. Richard Garriott is a cool dude, all right? Ultima 7 came out and was a huge hit. The Black Gate. Ultima 7, The Black Gate. If I had to take a guess, The Black Gate was 100% inspired by 2001: A Space Odyssey's Black Gate. You know the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, where there's a black gate? It just is there, and the monkey touches it, and he evolves, and humankind evolve because they touched the obelisk, the black obelisk. Well, the black gate in the video game is, has to be inspired because it looks just like it. Looks just like the obelisk from 2001: A Space Odyssey. And Richard Garriott is definitely a fan of movies. Ultima 2 was inspired, according to Richard Garriott, by the movie Time Bandits. So Time Bandits itself inspired Ultima 2. Gosh. Gotta see what's going on. All right. So I'm a huge fan of Serpent Isle. It's my favorite Ultima, to the point where I used to have multiple copies. I used to have like 5 copies of this. I downsized. I kept the best condition one, and I sold the others. But recently, I picked up the complete Ultima. This is the rarest version of the complete Ultima. It's the big box version. This is a sealed, in the shrink wrap copy, worth a lot of money. I looked for it for many years. You can see it open occasionally for, you know, a small chunk of change, but sealed in the shrink wrap, you cannot. So I'm a huge fan of Ultima 7, gigantic fan, okay? To the point where I created a little mold, and I have one around here somewhere. I'll show it to you in the future. But in the year 2009, I moved to Santa Maria, California, and you know, on my spare time, I was just drawing some illustrations. In the game Serpent Isle, okay, let me give you some context. In the previous Ultimas, let's start with Ultima 3. Ultima 3, Ultima 4, 5, 6, and 7. You go through a gate. It's a moon gate. You go through a moon gate. I have a little bit of heartburn. What do I take for that heartburn? Pina colada Tums, of course. Nothing goes down smoother than Pina colada Tums. Anyway, Ultima 3 through 7, you go through these blue moon gates, and they'll take you to different spots on the map. A very common concept. You see it in many video games. Well, you know, the Ultima Series pioneered that, and they're basically heavily inspired by the Ultima Series. But Ultima 7 Part 2 Serpent Isle was different in that the Serpent Gates were the way you popped around the map. No more blue moon gates. And the black gate is just like an end game thing for Ultima 7. It's not something you go through particularly, except for at the very end, but the gates are these ancient carved serpent stones that you step on top of, and you do a magic spell, and you go to the dark path. And the dark path has different gates, serpent gates to different locations. So I'm a huge nerd with this video game, all right, but huge fan. So I moved to Santa Maria in 2009. I'm by myself in my room, you know what I mean? Drawing some pictorials, all right? And here's one of the pictures I drew in 2009. This is the original one. So I drew this Serpent Gate. It's a very accurate representation of the pixels from a video game from the early to mid 90s. Was it early 90s? Yeah. Ultima 7 Part 2 Serpent Isle came out in the early 90s. We're talking 90, I don't know, 91, 92, somewhere around there. And so these are extremely pixelated. So I took the pixels out and drew it myself in the format of, this is the Serpent Gate, all right? Now, unbeknownst to me, see, I'm just drawing fan art for a video game, all right? That's why I gave you that extreme backstory. I'm drawing fan art for a video game. This is just angels in heaven. You know, I want them to have that on the records. I'm drawing fan art for a video game, okay? Little did I know, there's a freaking demon in the freaking closet watching me the whole time. draw a freaking serpent on a piece of paper, okay? Now, a demon from the bowels of hell, all right, doesn't know anything about the Ultima games. A demon from the fiery depths of hell itself. Know nothing about the Ultima Series and Ultima video games. All they see is a kid drawing a friggin' serpent on a piece of paper. And all I can say is that demon appreciated my demonic artwork from its demon perspective. But it's not demonic artwork. It's literally taking the pixels out of what was already there, all right? So I drew this in 2009, okay? Well, February 17th, 2010. So I must have drawn this late 2009. We're talking December, November, October. I must have drawn this in late 09. Because in early 2010, freaking demon popped out of the closet. Now, I am convinced that demon saw me draw this and liked my demonic artistic style, not knowing that I'm just drawing a thing from a video game. That's just, you gotta look from the perspective of a demon sometimes. And it's sick and twisted, and that demon followed me. Here's a little more detailed version of the Serpent Gate. Here I am giving the Serpent Gate the actual stone structure you see in the game. So I made it more detailed, and then I turned this into a physical stone artifact that I made a mold of, and I make copies of it. And I might have sold 2, and I gave 1 to the creator of the Ultima Series. I personally handed a stone Serpent Gate to Richard Garriott, Lord British. And he appreciated it, he liked it. He both liked it and maybe didn't like it at the same time, but pretended to like it, or maybe he genuinely liked it. I don't know, it's hard to say, but I handed it to him, he's like, oh wow, I mean, this is unique. Don't know if I wanted it, but I could see the effort you went to make it. I appreciate it for what it is, thank you. He didn't say those things, but I could get that general gist of how he felt about it. But later I heard he put it in a display case with the other video game stuff. And so that made me happy to hear that it's in a display case with other video game stuff in his offices in Austin, Texas. I thought that was pretty cool, that he put something I made, a little Serpent Gate ceramic thing that I painted. It's not ceramic, really. I make it out of an indestructible type ceramic. I kind of mix it. It's a long process, but I learned how to mix plaster of Paris with something stronger than plaster of Paris, and then paint it, and you want it as strong as possible. It's a pretty strong, sturdy thing. Here's the demon from that other drawing. Here's the demon I drew individually, and then I'll pop it in, you know, with scanning it in and then dragging it on in. I like to do my artwork individually. Like here's the original demon, and then later I'll pop in his hairs or whatnot. If you have any questions, feel free to post any questions in the comments. I see Sam and Brandon. Thanks Sam and Brandon for hanging out. I wish we had Google Hangouts, you know. I wish you guys could chime in. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could, but I'm just talking to my phone right here, you know. I guess I could, but there's a lot of lengths with grabbing all these things and getting the OBS studio going, and everyone has to have OBS studio, and you all have to be on your computer, and, you know, some of you are going to be on your phone, and you don't want an OBS studio, you know, I understand. But it's a convoluted process. Takes a lot of time. Here's a Corners of Rooms dream I had that I illustrated. So I had a dream. I was in a, we're talking the Far East with snow on the top of the tallest Far East mountain. And the entire place was built of wood. It was like a temple built made out of wood on top of a snowy mountain. I could look out the windows. You know, I believe I recall the windows had no glass panes. They were glass paneless windows. So the windows were just holes, you know, with nice frames. But you looked out, you saw the most beautiful scenic, snowy top, an impossible climb to get to. We're talking, it was a spiritual location, which might exist in the actual spirit plane, or not even the other dimension in death, but perhaps in between. Perhaps a place people can go when they go out of their body. You know the movie Beverly Hills Ninja, where Chris Farley floats out of his body and goes to talk to his guru, you know. The stereotype of being able to go to places like that out of your body. You know, E.A. Coetting, he talks about that occasionally. And whether you believe in him or not, many other people talk about that. I will do a video talking about E.A. Coetting eventually, but I see these view mongers wanting to get views off of talking about him, and I wanted to do the exact opposite. So in the future, I'll give my opinions and impressions on him. But this is just the corner of the room that I was talking about. Okay, I didn't color this drawing yet, so I need to make a copy and then I'll color it. But this border right here is some powdery type colorful substance. You know, in India, they have that ceremony where they throw colorful powder on everyone's face. It looked a lot like that, but it was neatly dropped in the corner, and every couple feet it was a different color. So we're talking yellow, purple, blue, green, bright vivid pink, stuff like that was all along the edges. And I almost had to ask, but at the same time it was a dream. I was in a dream. By the way, I had this in a dream. I didn't go out of my body. I literally had an extreme lucid dream where that was the dream. I look around, I see I'm inside of a wooden temple, and I see this colorful powder on the borders. And I didn't have to ask questions to anyone. I only saw a total of 3 people in the temple. I saw my cousin who had passed on, so that was interesting. He pointed to the corner of the room. No one said any words. I could telepathically get information from anyone in the place. I saw a monk in an orange robe, you know, the generic monk in the Far East, Tibetan Buddhist looking robe. And I didn't even have to ask him. I just looked at him, and he told me telepathically, the reason we put this colorful powder along the edges of the entire temple is so we can see footprints of demons if they enter. I was like, what the flip? So they do it as a means of protection to know whether an enemy, spiritual enemy of spirit nature, enters, which tells me that everyone there was a spirit. My passed away cousin was there, unusually. He wasn't wearing a robe. I think he was wearing a white shirt and jeans. I'm almost positive he was wearing a white shirt and jeans. It's interesting. It's very interesting. So that's another thing I'll throw in the Corners of Room story, just a Corners of Room related dream. And I'll throw other interesting things. I can show you this. I've never shown this to anyone ever. Here's a sun drawing I did. I did this sun drawing back in the year 2011 during my poltergeist harassment. I drew this. I kept wondering, how do I get these negative entities out of my room? And an idea popped into my head to draw a bunch of suns and to pop them in the corners of my room. And I never went beyond drawing this one sun. I drew this one sun and I never went beyond making the one. I didn't cut it out or tape it or paste it in my corners of my rooms. But it was a random thought that came out of my head. How do I get rid of these negative entities? Maybe if there's a bunch of suns in the corners, maybe it'll scare them away, like a gargoyle concept. Gargoyles scaring away the evil spirits. it popped in my head enough to draw it and consider it. But so I did draw that drawing during the time frame of the 2011 incident. And I have a couple other drawings I will show in the future. We have the Lucifer, yikes, the Lucifer drawing I did after I had a vivid, super vivid lucid dream. We're talking, I was in my room, it's probably noon. I wake up like at noon, it's broad daylight, and I had what seemed like a 5-second dream of Lucifer appearing above me, just levitating, floating like a Super Saiyan. Now, again, I didn't hear him say anything. He just looked down and like telepathically, he was looking down to me to an extreme degree. Like he was way up and I was way down. So that's the image he wanted to, the first image he wanted to convey was he's a superior angel way up high and I'm nothing down low. But the reason I got the impression he was the devil is because, he looked exactly, he had the exact haircut as, Draco in the old Harry Potter movies. It was very perfectly straight. It was platinum blonde. Maybe a little bit less than platinum blonde. Maybe there's a little bit yellow in there. But, I don't know. He had a very Draco's dad vibe going on. And it was an actual dream I actually had, very strange. I was so impressed by it being real that I drew that picture. Pretty freaky stuff, pretty freaky. I'm an individual that can tell the difference between a dream and reality. I have had a few poltergeist dreams, which I know are just dreams. But I never had a poltergeist dream until after I witnessed poltergeist activity in real life, the real deal. And I talked about one of those dreams during my first Corners of Rooms video. If you have any questions, feel free to post anything you want to interject into the video. Was his hair blonde? Yeah, his hair was stick straight blonde. He didn't have bangs. He had it parted in the middle. It was parted exactly in the middle, and it went behind. He had like 3 giant steel collar-looking things going around his neck. And I've heard of the mythology of Lucifer having pipes like built into his body, and he's some type of organist, pipe singing angel who's designed to maybe be a choir director. I don't know. This is just some mythology, possibly modern, possibly ancient, or mixed in between of the two, but I did hear something vaguely about that. I've never read it firsthand. Maybe I Googled it once, but someone told me about it years ago. So you could say subconsciously, subliminally, that was thrown in there. I don't know. But in the dream, I didn't think of it as that. In the dream, I just thought it was a futuristic collar. So his robe was all white. His cloak was green with gold trim and with the letter L back and forth, kind of like a Roman design. L, up, backwards, L. L, backwards, L. L, backwards, L. And that's where I got the idea he's Lucifer. Because in the dream itself, which only lasted like 5 seconds, this is a 5-second dream. Not too often is a 5-second lucid dream going to leave such a strong impression that you draw a picture of it. But this metal collar was out of place. We have a royal green cloak. We have a white robe. He had bare feet. He didn't have any shoes. He was rocking shoeless, because he can fly, you know what I mean? If you can fly and you never have to walk, I guess, you can free ball it, but he was free balling it on his feet anyway. And he had 3 like futuristic metal tube like silver things going around his neck. It's pretty interesting, pretty futuristic looking. It definitely looked like a super villain in some sci-fi movie, but nothing I'd have ever seen. He looked down at me like, I don't know, like he was acknowledging me, but at the same time treating me like dirt. I have no idea. It could have just been a representation. It could have been symbolic. It could have been just my imagination. But because there were supernatural things in that Corners of Rooms experiment, not too long after, it was maybe 1 year after I did the Corners of Rooms experiment. I think that's the time frame. Character from Castlevania. I know, this is a long video. It's kind of drawn out. But I will finish the manuscript for Corners of Rooms. I will finish it. I know the manuscript's in here somewhere. This might just be the... This isn't the Corners of Rooms manuscript as much as it is the illustrations for the Corners of Rooms manuscript. This is just the illustrations for. Just like on my other book, I had illustrations, then I had the manuscript itself. Well, I'm going to do reviews of a bunch of cool stuff. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Nido. I love Nidos. I love these Nidos. Oh my gosh. Am I missing a Nido? See, I'm missing a green Nido. Let me just take this out. I'm going to do an entire video reviewing these Nidos. I don't know. I just like them. Have you seen these Nidos? They're pretty cool. I like them. Supernatural things. Many have happened to me. How about you and Sam? Or anyone listening, anyone watching? Have you had any supernatural occurrences in your life? Feel free to mention it. I can just talk a little about, just bounce it off. I want to design something with a bottle. So here's a guy, Thurston and Kingsbury. I thought this Thurston and Kingsbury bottle was interesting. This is a guy in America, obviously. Thurston and Kingsbury. T and H. Now that's a weird A. Look how weird that A is. He is using a font, which he obviously created himself, to convey its extracts. It's flavoring extracts from Bangor, Maine. I don't know where Bangor, Maine is, but here's this is something different. This is the 7 Seals. This is the 7 Seals. We're talking miracle cure stuff that you would see tonic elixirs sold by the, magic potion wagon. So I thought it was interesting. Started collecting them. Here's another one by Thurston and Kingsbury. So Thurston and Kingsbury, they want to convey that this is Far East flavoring extracts with a font alone. The font is supposed to look like Chinese, but it's not. It's just, I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was worth picking up. You've had several supernatural occurrences. Never really looked at it as a direct result from magic, but sometimes these things can happen. Yeah. You can't always prove whether this is because of this. You want to draw conclusions in your head, and it's very hard with the subject as elusive as the supernatural. I'm going to make an entire documentary corners of rooms. I'll do something else on that. But I have a documentary called The Attributes of Demons. And I already finished half of part of one and half of another part. But I wanted to really include the Bjork video. And I haven't tested it out if there's a copyright match. There probably will be. So I might have to quote Bjork. But Bjork is a famous Icelandic singer, okay? And I have a Bjork set list over there. No big deal. Just I'm a huge fan of Bjork. And Bjork isn't someone you would think would believe in demons. But an interviewer is asking Bjork, oh, so blah, 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 yada, 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 yada. And I think the interviewer is asking Bjork about demons from any skeletons in your closet, any, demons of your past, like smoking, drinking, anything you want to talk about. I think the interviewer was trying to get some dirt, trying to Barbara Walters, get some deep, dark secret from Bjork. And Bjork says demons, they are the slipperiest of creatures. It's hard to prove and hard to catch them. She implies demons are real entities, and she's dead serious. She's not joking around. I think the interviewer was talking about demons in someone's past, like skeletons in the closet, and Bjork jumps into literal, actual demons. So I thought that was interesting. It's an interesting thing. In Iceland, they believe in fairies, enough to believe that fairies live on the side of the road, in the plants on the side of the road. That's their fairy territory. Bad things will happen to you if you cut down the plants on the side of the road. So there are Icelandic laws which forbid the cutting of plants on the side of the road. So that's pretty interesting that Icelandic law believes in fairies enough to not invade the fairy land. So, a little bit interesting thing. But I wanted to start the documentary with that Bjork quote. It's so good. Sure, you could think she's being sarcastic, but I have a feeling she's not. Bjork is someone who has traveled the world, but there is a movie where Bjork does do magic, and it's folk magic, and it's just in a movie, and it's not real. But I don't know. She comes across as someone, I think, possibly she has had supernatural paranormal experiences, but because of her fame, she can't talk about it. But then again, famous people in general, they don't, they're not gonna talk about it other than on that TV show where the famous people talk about stuff. Marilyn Manson talked about stuff, and I made that video, and the video is impossible to search for, and the video was, let's say, taken off the list of able to search, so I had to rename the video a rock star with no name, whose name no one knows, unknown. And it's a super famous rock star, but that's how it is. If you're famous, you can't even make a video about someone. It gets pulled down. You were just typing Icelandic people believe in fairies? Yeah, they totally do. Well, I know, this isn't the best video in the world. I'm gonna do tons of videos, but I like to do pre-recorded videos. If there's a long, drawn-out 2 hours of me talking about nothing, I can chop it down to the interesting part. But I think I'm gonna get rid of my Medicina Magica book. I think I'm gonna pop this up because I got too many books, too many. Medicina Magica. It's a pretty cool book. Has really nice, fancy schmancy papers at the front. I like the artwork. But it's a little bit too, I don't know, generic alchemy for me. I like alchemy. Here's just an example of mandrake root from the Codex Napolitanus. Mandrake root from Napolitanus. And mandrake root is a root that's supposed to look like the shape of a man, and it's supposed to have magical properties and magical powers. But the thing about the mandrake root is no one knows what a mandrake root is. So it's basically any root of any tree. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a mandrake from the Bible, for example, that they ground up, I think, to use for the equivalent of modern-day Viagra or something to that effect, and or even more so, you know, to create a baby, to increase the odds and whatnot. And no one knows historically what plant they were talking about. No one knows. So no one knows what the biblical mandrake root is. No one knows, because it's a generic term. It basically, here's a ginseng root. As an example, ginseng isn't mandrake, but if it's a ginseng in the shape of a man, then it technically is mandrake. So, you know, that's a little tidbit. That is interesting. The old dude with the Michael Jordan mustache who, you know, killed a bunch of people from Israel. Horrible, horrible guy. He got a gift in Germany of a mandrake root. Someone handed him a giant mandrake root. He's like, oh, gee, thanks. Who knows what he thought about it? But people say he was into the occult, and I don't research that. I'm not big into researching that guy. Not a big fan of him. But I thought this was an interesting book. But this book is mostly just clips of other pictures from other books. It almost makes me want to get these other books that they're showing pictures of as opposed to this book. But here's a book called Medicina Antiqua. So yeah, it couldn't get more boring than me just going through a book showing you pictures. But it's an interesting book. Medicina Magica. It's pretty cool book. I like the looks of it. Had a really cool design on the front. And, you know, I flip through these from time to time. But I will, in the future, talk about E.A. Coetting. You know, I don't know if you heard the news. E.A. Coetting, horrible association and things happening with him. I'm not even, in any way, shape, or form, a follower of E.A. I just do book reviews sometimes. And if he puts out a book, I'll do a book review on one of his books sometimes, you know? But people that haven't read his books and haven't watched a bunch of his videos jump to the conclusion that blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But I've been watching his videos, and his channel got pulled. His entire channel got pulled because of some horrific, tragic incident that happened in the UK. Horrible, horrible story. I'll talk about that in an entire video, perhaps. But, you know, you can't make money off of tragedies. So, and it's not about making videos. It's not about making money. It's not about making money. I just don't want my videos to get pulled, you know? And it's not about caring if videos get pulled, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I don't want to associate myself with the guy too much. But I've bought a couple of his books, and I would say most of his content doesn't endorse that. Most. He claims zero of his content endorses that. But I've read enough and watched enough of his videos where some of his older videos do have obscure things that are highly questionable. And I've always said I've followed EA's existence on the planet Earth from a distance because he's a canary in a coal mine situation. He's a very unusual individual trying to and succeeding at turning a business, publishing books, all magic related on a successful level. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone cast a spell on his business endeavors. I would not be surprised if someone in competition, some spell related thing, a karmic related thing, a spirit related thing, or maybe it was I don't know. You know, if you endorse every spirit, not all spirits are going to be perfect and great and nice. And I would never even jump to that conclusion, that it was any spirit that we know about. Could be some unknown spirit, but then again, you know, I've watched enough of his videos to know that there is a video where he says something questionable, and then later he talks about that video, and he says, you know, I was in a trance. I was in a trance-like state, basically a medium repeating, oh, that's right. I remember EA saying he was repeating what he heard the spirits tell him, because the spirits' voices weren't picked up on his video and audio equipment. So for the sake of having a transcript of what he's hearing from the spirits while in this state, he repeats everything that the spirit said. And in one of his older videos, he did repeat something highly questionable, which reminded me of something that is almost an exact quote from the guy who did a tragic thing in Tucson, Arizona. Because I lived in Tucson, Arizona, I paid a little attention to it because it was in the local news. And I went to the parking lot of that location, and some of my viewers questioned whether I was even at the correct parking lot. You know, I lived in Tucson many years. I know what parking lot it is, and it's still there. But interesting, the words of that guy, whose name was Jared something or other, I purposely am not going to say his last name, and Eric Coetting. Okay, we've got Eric Coetting, Jared something or other, both claiming to communicate with spirits, both repeating the exact same message, and then a kid in the UK possibly getting the same message. I know there's no booklet and guide and how-to that has this exact written out. You have to really delve extremely deep, probably watch 100 of his videos, which are now gone, because his channel's been pulled. Do I have a copy of that EA video? Do I have a copy? I might. I might have a copy. I saved maybe 5 to 10 EA video copies on my computer, 5 to 10. I think one of the 5 to 10 is that video in question, because it jumped out. It was a huge red flag to me. The reason I saved it is because of its similarity between something that Jared guy, who's now in prison for life. That's something I would talk about in an EA-related video where I entirely talked about EA. But I don't want to focus on that. Have you seen the Mandela Catalog Volume 2? They mixed in paranormal investigations and the Spirit Box. No, I have not, Sam, seen the Mandela Catalog Volume 2. I've not seen that. Darren asks, you ever get one of those original Shulk books? Shulk? Who's Shulk? I hope you have the spelling correct. Daniel Shulk, I think was his full name. I don't think so. I know the names of all the books I have. And I don't have any books by Daniel Shulk. Daniel A. Shulk, or is it Shulk A? Okay, let me see. What kind of books does this guy have? Voodoo-related books? Three-hand press? I'm familiar with three-hand press. I've probably seen a couple covers of his books. I'm seeing some skull and crossbones looking stuff. I'm seeing some imagery that is very familiar to me, of a hand coming out of a cloud. I don't know if this is his book or not, with a skeleton key in the hand. But, you know, if you delve into the occult, or at least if you delve into even just ghost hunting enough, it all comes together. And I'm very familiar with the hand coming out of the cloud imagery to the point where I know what it means. Back in 2011, when I was poltergeist bothered, I had a picture pop into my head. Now, I'm not a crazy person. I'm an artistic, visual, musical, video production, lyric, poet, painter, perspective type of a person. So when something pops in my head like a picture, usually it's an idea. Just such ideas don't pop in the heads of non-artistically inclined, I would assume. I don't know. So perhaps I thought it was at first just an idea, but I drew it down. I drew the picture that popped in my head, and it was a direct relation to the poltergeist entity. And so that's going to be in the book. I skipped that drawing. It is in this drawings for the Corners of Rooms book. I skipped it because there's going to be an entire page or 2 or 3 about it. And there's another picture that is more than something that popped in my head. I'll just tell you this. On one singular occasion during the 6-month harassment of poltergeist phenomena that I experienced firsthand, only one time, now I've mentioned this many times, the spirits, which I now believe are 2, walked through me every single night. Sometimes 7 p.m., sometimes 8 p.m., sometimes 9 p.m., sometimes 10 p.m. But they would only walk through me once every single night. I guess the average would have been around 9 p.m. they walked through me. They're getting information about me, gauging my existence, gauging this, gauging that, who knows? Compatibility, who knows? For possession, who knows, There's a million questions. But a separate, totally different spirit, other than the 2 imps that were assigned to harass me and move objects in my room. A totally different spirit visited me. I don't know what month it was, because I almost refused to have a journal. Okay, this happened on this day, this happened on that day. Why did I refuse to have a journal? Because in my perspective, in my mind, I had the concept that filming them would encourage them, and even writing down what they did that night would encourage them. I had the idea that if I wrote down, the poltergeist knocked over 3 boxes tonight, it's pretty freaky. I tried to command them to leave 5 times in a row. Went to bed at 5 a.m., had 0 sleep, because I was wide awake until 8 a.m., and I just got up and went to work with 0 sleep. That's not what happened. I woke up like at 10 a.m. or 10:30 a.m. That was the one night I slept in. Anyway, I didn't want to encourage the entities with a journal that they could read right beside my bed. Oh yeah, we're doing good work. Look at, he wrote it down. I did scribble a couple notes here and there. I found a couple scribbles of pieces of information I wrote during the process, but I didn't make a full-blown journal at the time because I didn't want to encourage them. It was that horrific and terrifying of a scenario. I didn't want to encourage them. And on one occasion, maybe it was 3 months in, maybe 4 or 5 months in, I gotta go. I got to go. Until next time, be seeing you.